Hey guys, so today I'm going to do a back to school makeup tutorial. The reason I wanted to do this is because I've seen a lot of back to school makeup tutorials where a lot of people are quite a glam kind of makeup tutorial with foundation and concealer and all that sort of stuff. When I was in school, I wanted to sleep in. I was not waking up half an hour earlier than I needed to do my full face. I noticed a couple of people in the comments of that video, like me, that we were sent home or we were given a makeup wipe if we went to school with anything but natural makeup. If I put black liner in my waterline, I was told to go and take that off immediately. I know this is the UK. I feel like natural makeup is still necessary for quite a lot of schools. Who at that age, 12 to 16, can afford a full face of makeup? Probably about $100 or £100. I don't think any 12 to 16 year old has that sort of money. So I wanted to do an affordable start to finish makeup tutorial, and this is only going to cost about £30 depending on where you're going. I'm hoping to get this up today because in the UK, if you can find a Wilko, they've got like a back to school 20% off at the moment, something like that. And a lot of the items are £1 to £2 cheaper, so you know you get even more savings. Collection, Essence, Rimmel. I appreciate you can't get Collection in America, but you can get, I think, like Catrice, almost the equivalent. You can easily swap some of this stuff out. I'm going to try and give a couple of examples of things that you could use throughout. You can easily swap a lot of these products out, whether it's not your shade, not in your price range. This can also be used for like natural makeup for work as well. It's not just necessarily back to school. It could be back to work makeup too. So let's just get into the video. So my camera wasn't recording. So I used the Collection Lasting Perfection Concealer. This comes in a bunch of different shades, and at the moment it's, I think, at least £1 cheaper in Wilko. If you don't have Collection, which I know quite a lot of countries don't, I think this is only a UK brand, you can use the Lucian Conceal and Define. This has a ton of shades. I did go in with this one because it is currently the cheaper one in the UK. So I would say that if I personally understood concealer at 12 to 16, I definitely would have used it to even out my skin tone ever so slightly. I would not suggest using concealer over the whole of your face. This over your spots so that you have a lot more of an even skin tone will just give you so much more confidence. I still have scarring, so I still wanted to cover those up. I did cover up my dark circles, but what 12 to 16 year olds has dark circles and needs to highlight their face? Using minimal brushes today because, again, what 12 to 16 year old can afford to buy loads of brushes and loads of sponges? So I just used the warmth of my finger, spread this out over my face and blend it into my skin. It's free. Warmth of your finger makes it smooth into your skin a lot nicer and actually makes the product go farther, so you'll get even more out of the products that you buy. I use this shade Extra Fair underneath my eyes and Fair just to even out my skin tone. I just put a little bit on my redness around my nose because I did have a big spot there, a little bit on my chin because I had a spot there as well. Next is powder. So I wanted to give you a couple of options. So I'm going to be using the Rimmel Stay Matte. This is still one of my favourite go-to blotting sort of powders. And I used to use this as a powder foundation till I was probably about 21 and started using foundation. This is what I used to use to even out my skin. You can just use a powder puff kind of thing. I think you can get them pretty cheap. That's a little bit too mattifying. You could also use the Maybelline Superstay or the Maybelline Fit Me powder. I've heard is really good for drier skin. Obviously I have oily skin, but this is a really nice powder foundation I used to use a lot. I'm going to be using the Stay Matte because it's mattifying. It will keep me like less oily throughout the whole entire day, and it's cheaper. I'm using this Wet n Wild powder brush. I'm only using 3 brushes in the whole of this tutorial. Lightly put that all over my face. This will really dry out your face, so if you have oily skin, this is great. I wouldn't normally put such a mattifying powder underneath my eyes, but this is all we have. If you can afford it and you want something to brighten, I would say use the Essence Brighten Up powder. They have 2 shades, not the greatest, but it's something. I look pretty pale. The shade Transparent. This has easily become one of my absolute favourite go-to palettes. This is by Essence. This is the Hey Cheeks palette. So this is a blush, bronzer and highlighter palette. You have the bronzers here, the blushes here and the highlighter here. Obviously this is not going to match every single skin tone, but it's, if you can find approximately a £6 palette that has a bronzer, blush and highlight that suits you, there's probably some Revolution ones they're great. Use this Essence brush. This is like a more pointed brush. This is the bronzer brush. I'm going to use this for my bronzer and for my blush. So when I was in school, I didn't really feel like bronzer was necessary, but if you wanted to lightly contour, you can use the matte shade. I'm like inhaling powder. I used to think bronzing was simply just to make you look more tan, and I was like, I like being pale, why do I need to look more tan? But honestly, like, bronzer can be just to warm up the face so that you don't look so dead. One blends out really, really nicely. I usually go into this one just to kind of like shimmer it up a little bit, especially if it's in the summer. I'm actually going to do highlight first for the simple reason that I prefer to do highlight before my blush. So I'm going to use, again, this highlight, but I'm going to use this hollow lighter brush. Because this is quite small, you could also use this in your crease if you wanted to give yourself a little depth to your eye. So I'm going to go into this highlight. This does actually have a mirror, but it's like a really thin mirror. I'm then going back in with that bronzer brush, and I'm just going to take this shade here. This is one of my favourite blushes, just to blush up the skin. Makes you look quite naturally flush. Don't pull it too far forward if you have a round face like I do. Do brows. So again, I feel like when I was younger, I had a lot thicker brows. So I'm going to use this collection, Define Perfect Eyebrow Powder. The reason I'm using a powder, you can get little kits, but they're just a little bit more expensive. Powders in general are so much more giving than waxes or anything like that. So to make sure that like you brush through your hairs with your fingers. Shapes it, like, look, that now gives me a tail. If you have thick brows and you don't need one of those, but you just want something to run through your brows, the Essence Make Me Brow is one of my absolute favourite. Brush through, giving you a tail with the powder, and then this is just really highlights the hairs. That's the difference. So that's just what a tiny bit of powder and a little bit of brow mascara does. And also this is really quick makeup. Like if I wasn't talking through this would probably take me about 5 minutes. So before I do mascara, I'm going to set my face again, and I'm going to do it really far away. I'm just going to take a tiny bit of bronzer, just the matte one with that highlighter brush. I'm just going to put like a tiny bit of bronzer in the crease. Then with the highlight, I'm just going to take it on my finger and just put like ever so slight shimmer on my lid, just like ever so slight. Next I'm going to talk about mascara. So I'm going to use the Essence You Better Work Volume and Curl. Not my favourite Essence mascara, so I didn't see the point of buying a new Essence mascara when I already have this one. Last thing I'm going to do is lip, but to be honest, when I was a kid, all I would put on was some lip balm, and that was it. Some really affordable options is the collection Velvet Kiss. These feel like the NYX lip creams. They don't last very long, but they're really nice on the lips, and they have loads of nude shades. Another nude favourite of mine is the Stay Mattes by Rimmel. These do last a decent amount of time. I'm going to go with Llama. It's actually a little bit too nude, to be honest. Of course, my hair is full of dry shampoo, because what back to school makeup routine would be right without dry shampoo in your hair? So that's everything for this video. I gave you some sort of ideas of what you could do for back to school makeup or affordable options within a budget. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like if you did. Subscribe if you feel like it. I would really, really appreciate it. I do tutorials every single Tuesday, and I hope to see you then. Bye.